feel like it's too early to start swearing, Mommy.
It's too early to start swearing, Mommy. I'm gonna have to use that part later in the clip. You know, I feel like I can. I have a little notepad, so when stupid shit happens, and like, dude, I gotta write that. That's gonna be a weird joke. One of these days, I want to do stand-up.
Oh, no.
Not like vet TV, but watching like vet TV.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome. This is Tuolumne Legends with Sgt R. I'm here with
Sarah Geyer. I'm president of Sonora Vets Helping Vets.
This is Tuolumne Legends' third podcast. We're getting better with the sound. We're getting better with the equipment. So please be graceful with us. So today, I wanted to do a veteran episode at some point, and then you getting ready to move.
Yes.
Get a new job. I was like, oh, we better do this before you go.
Well, yeah, no. It's pretty interesting that I came back here, never thought that I'd ever leave again, and get an amazing job offer, and decide to move my entire family via car, 4 cats, 1 dog, my mother, and one of my friends is helping us drive cross country.
Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah. So you got but you're about a week away from...
No, less.
Less than a week.
Our mover should be here over the weekend.
So Monday you'll be on the road?
No, we're leaving right after the truck does.
Oh,
so
it could be
Saturday or Sunday, yeah.
All right. It's pretty quick. It's exciting.
It is. It's exciting, but at the same time it's sad because we're leaving everything we've pretty much, well, or at least for me and my kids, everything we've ever known.
So let's start at the beginning then. Where were you born?
I was born in Alameda County.
Alameda County.
Yes.
That's next to Oakland?
Oakland, Hayward, San Leandro.
Is, it's that military base down there with the dry docks, something island. Mare Island. I should know this as my first duty station. Mare Island. Are you familiar with Mare Island?
No.
I think there's a veteran cemetery out there too, if you ever...
Oh, yeah. No, the only one that I can think of is Golden Gate National Cemetery off the top of my head.
And were they... I got ADD, so I'm like...
So do I.
We've already gotten off topic a little bit. Okay, so you're born in Alameda. What was your dad doing back then? When you were born, your dad and mom still together? No.
They weren't.
Okay, wait a minute. So mom gets pregnant, and they're like, married. No, we're not going to do this stuff no more.
Pretty much.
That's the same story as me, too. Because, like, as soon as my mom got pregnant with me, my mom was like, to my dad, like, you better change. This ain't going to work. My dad's like, no, I'm not going to change. And there you go.
Oh.
Here I am born to a single mom.
Yeah, no. At least your dad didn't say, well, can't be mine.
You want me to edit that out? Okay. We're trying not to do any editing today. This is veteran uncut. You're going to get raw thoughts.
Yes.
And then there's an MF after that.
Yes. I'm trying not to swear. Let's see how long that goes over.
So born in Alameda, your mom's now, were they living in the same house?
No.
Okay.
At that point, they weren't. It was her, my older sister, who's 8 years older than I am. And then us, and I think at the time, my mom was working for Head Start in Hayward.
So she's like a teacher by trade?
No, social worker.
Social worker.
Yes.
But she was doing Head Start. You can still do that?
Oh, yeah, no, they have social workers at Head Start.
Okay. So at what point do you have to be like a certified teacher to teach children?
I honestly don't know.
I mean, everybody can pop out kids, and we can teach them at home, do homeschooling. But I think, honestly, the first teacher in any child's life has got to be their parents.
No, I agree.
Bottom line. And I say it often to my kid to come home. My teacher said this, well, hey, this is what we're going to think, and this is how I'm the teacher. Me and mom are smarter than the teacher to a certain degree. It's our responsibility. You listen to us first.
Oh, yeah. First and foremost, this is what you should know. But we're going off again. If you look at what they're coming home and saying, it doesn't match up to what we even learned in school. Because everything's being cut out, changed, rewritten. Hell, I can't even do math with my kids because I don't get it.
Math don't change. That was one of the things I liked about math growing up. It's like, this is the answer, okay? Mm-hmm. You can do all kinds of different ways, but as long as you got the same answer at the end, whether you put your numbers on top or to the side, I don't care.
Exactly. But this Common Core, it's just...
No, well, that's... People, teach your kids, homeschool, private school, whatever it takes. Do not let the public school teach your kids anymore. I think we've all learned this.
Yes, now.
I don't know, it's super funny, COVID hits, and it's like, no school no more. Staying home with the kid. Well, at one degree, that's bad, right? Because you got to go to work. Who's going to take care of the kids? But at the other end, like now, parents, you need to take responsibility. You're teaching your kids now. It's on you.
It is. And I know working with my kids during COVID, we were getting packets from their school. But, above and beyond that, I was teaching them different things. How to fold things, how to cook, just random good life lessons that everybody should know.
Good quality time.
Yeah.
While doing homework.
Well, let's not go into that one. Wait a minute. We're
chasing the kids down all day long. Hey, did you do that one page of homework that should only took you 2 minutes?
Yes. 5.5 hours later. What? I give up.
I mean, let's just get the school stuff out of the way while we're talking about it. It's like, I don't think school's important to your high school. Between the time they're growing up to high school, it's like, learn how to read and write. That's the most important thing. I mean, history, come on, maybe 7th, 8th grade. I remember going on field trips like, we live in, the 49er area. So let's go on a field trip to Columbia. The kids don't remember that. I remember going.
Yeah, I remember docent days.
What was the point? I didn't remember anything. Sutter Mill was like, I guess, the first mill that started around here. Oh, yeah. It was the big gold rush boom.
Going to Yosemite.
Yeah. And other kids, I mean, we're lucky up here. There's a lot of history where we live. So you imagine that down in the city, like they ain't going on field trips like we did. Like, where are they going?
Man, no, let's go on a field trip and hope there's no gang shootings. But that's a lot of the reason we moved up here, too, was because all the gangs were moving in. But we lived right off Mission Boulevard in Hayward, too.
How old were you when you moved back up here?
Oh, God. I was 3. Because...
So you don't really... Do you remember hardly Hayward at that point?
I do. Just like right around the time the Loma Prieta earthquake hit. Everybody remembered that, but it was the first earthquake to be televised live. World Series between Giants and A's.
Yeah, 89, right?
Yeah.
That was 89.
It was, I think it was October 13th or 23rd.
I barely remember that, too, because I'm literally at home, because I think it was the Giants.
No, it was the Giants versus the A's in the World Series.
So I'm sitting at home in Tuolumne, and I'm watching the game with my dad, and the earthquake. And, like, I can't remember if we felt anything. I don't remember that part, but it was, like, big news. Oh. Obviously, we're watching the game, earthquake, TV's shaking, or at least the picture on the TV's shaking. Yeah. It was pretty interesting.
I mean, you could have felt it up here with all the great... We really felt it down there. Shit.
Was that probably your... earthquakes, was that your biggest one, you think? I mean, but you're 3 years old. I mean, that's huge.
Well, yeah, it's just like, being a little shithead and locking myself in the bathroom and my babysitter having to call the fire department.
What? At 3 years old?
Yeah.
Your kids are really taking after you.
Obviously.
I mean, we're going to start going down this road.
You've met my kids.
3 years old. I'm locking myself. I think I've been pretty blessed. Wesley has been pretty angel. I don't have to worry about Wesley too often.
Yeah.
I tell him not to do something, he hasn't done it, Growing up, he never climbed on anything or broke anything. He was intuitive but smart. Like,
oh, yeah. Well, my kids are just flat out sneaky.
Well,
they know what they can and cannot do, and when they get to that point where they're going to cross the line, they go around and see how far, but they just get there. Luckily.
So you move up here when you're 3? Why did your mom move up here?
Because of all the gangs.
Yeah,
gangs were moving in more and more. It just wasn't becoming safe. I think it was one of the middle school my sister was going to go to. The county line had switched, so she would have had to have gone to a different middle school where they had metal detectors, security guards.
89.
Oh, yeah.
Dang. We are so behind the times up here.
We are.
I remember even living down in Hemet for a little while, and the school metal detectors weren't really implemented until the 2000s. But, so did your mom just look for a job up here or found a job up here? I mean, was there any roots for you to come up to Tuolumne?
Only my uncle. My uncle had moved up about 2 years prior than we had. And we found that first apartment that we lived in up until we bought our current home.
What was your uncle's name? You want?
Jerry Morrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I popped up earlier.
Yes.
Jerry Morrow.
Yeah, no, he ran for county supervisor, but he was on, I can't remember the board.
When did he run? You remember?
I believe he ran in, I think it's 97, 98, and then again in 2000, 2001. Remember, it was before September 11th.
Yeah. What does he do for like work and stuff? I mean, for someone to jump into politics, and I think that's where I'm leading the question is like you really kind of got to be somewhat involved in the community. Like, so obviously, what was he doing?
Well, I believe before he moved up here, he was in law enforcement.
Oh yeah.
He was a truck driver. He did a lot and held a lot of official positions in the church, and then he got on the planning commission, which is the one I couldn't remember. So he's had his hand in pretty much a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And, growing up with my uncle, and then everything my mom did in the community, it was like, can't get away with shit because everybody knows me. What the hell?
So what did your mom do when she came up here?
For the life of me, I cannot remember what she started off doing. But then, she started volunteering for the crisis line for the Women's Center. And then her and 4 others decided to found Mountain Women's Resource Center, which is now CNVC.
What's CNVC?
Center for Nonviolent Community.
Oh, okay, yeah. So she was one of the founding members of that?
Oh, yes. And she did that for years, and then she worked over in Calaveras for a long time, doing the same
But living
work.
in Sonora?
Living up in here in Miwok.
So that house you're in now, that you're getting ready to move out of, is that the house you grew up in?
No, I grew up on Chief Fuller in a little 2-bedroom apartment. We were the first family ever to move in there.
Well, it's not too far from where you are now.
Yeah, no, it's only like
a block.
right around the corner.
So where did you go to school?
Yeah, that's a great topic. Let's just go with that one, huh? I went to Twain Hart. I was one of those weird kids. But back when we were younger, Twain Hart was a really good school.
Yeah.
Compared to now.
Well, how were you a weird kid? I mean, I was a weird kid. I mean, we're all weird kids. Kids are always weird.
Oh, yeah, no. Kids are always weird, but, it's... It's interesting because I didn't fit in one certain crowd, and I had friends in all different crowds, but at the same time, I was also the kid that, somebody would go for a girl fight, and I just start going like this on the playground. Remember my mom getting called multiple times because of that one.
My parents didn't care.
Oh, my mom didn't either. My mom's thing was, did you hit him first? No. Okay.
Yeah.
But,
So Twain Hart through 8th grade?
Yes.
And then, so like, this is interesting, because I was living in Tuolumne. I was at Summerville, Head Start in 1st grade. And then I bumped over to Solseyville until 8th grade. And then I went to Summerville. So you say you remember me way back. But do you remember me in high school or remember me before that?
Before that. Because at some point our mothers met. And I swear my mom still has a photo of the two of us when we were 8 or 9 somewhere.
My mom must have been on crisis line that I'm not aware of.
Maybe.
I mean, my stepdad was pretty rough too, so.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you never know. My mom wouldn't tell me if your mom called or did anything like that. Confidentiality.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't know. Do you remember? Well, I'll ask you the names later. Now I think about it.
Yeah. So like, you were a freshman when I was a senior.
Oh, I think you were a junior, not a senior.
So I graduated in 2001. When did you graduate?
I graduated in. Oh God.
Come on, this is basic
4.
information.
Okay, you know me. You know my brain.
I know your brain, but I know I always give other people the benefit of the doubt. I'm the slow one in the room, always. I'm like the last one to get a joke or anything.
Oh yeah.
Making them.
We knew a lot of the same
so
people.
we were in high school 2 years ago.
Yeah, and then ROTC.
So you had to have been at school. Must have been a freshman when I had that big fight.
Only thing big I remember there, in all honesty, was...
I had a big fight when I was junior, and that knocked me down in ROTC. So we went to ROTC together.
Oh, okay. Remember your really bad haircut, but...
My really bad haircut?
Yeah.
I think we all have bad haircuts in high school.
Oh, dear God.
I think appearance just drives kids nuts when you're a teenager.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
always worried about what you're wearing, because it was very cliquey. There's always a clique.
Yeah.
I think ROTC helped kids like us, because we're just ROTC. We gotta wear a uniform most of the time, so we don't have to worry about clothes.
Exactly. But my hard part was I was in band and ROTC.
Oh no.
Football games and parades were the worst.
Yeah.
I remember band teacher, one specific ROTC teacher, fighting to the point where parade officials had to completely separate the two groups on one end. So it'd start with one, run all the way to the high school, change, run all the way back, and then go all the way back down.
Oh God, yeah. I remember that. That was horrible for some of you guys.
Yeah.
The Motherlode. It's the Motherlode.
That's the Motherlode Roundup Parade.
And you have to walk that twice, you're dead.
Yeah.
And I remember just walking it twice just because we had the color guard all the way to the end, and we got to walk everything back.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a nightmare. I love the parade. Is wonderful, but it is a nightmare for the people that are in it.
It is. Well, the one teacher, out of respect, I'm not going to say his name, but he finally
God rest his soul, right?
Yes, God rest his soul. He finally got to the point where he would just drop us and everything off, drive his car down to the high school, and then walk back. And then at some point, he's just like, okay, screw it. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'll watch you guys.
Yeah. It's a nightmare of a thing.
Yeah.
So what do you remember in high school? Like, I mean, just in your childhood in general, like, is there anything we missed? Like, things you want to stick with you? I mean, the guy we're talking about, I don't mind saying his name, Eskew, Sergeant Eskew.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Oh, he was absolutely beyond amazing.
Amazing to every student.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what kids need. They need teachers to look up to. It's like parents and then teachers to look up to, because it's really like they're with the kids all day long.
Yeah.
And because of the program and the way it was set up, it really lent itself to having someone who cared about who you were as a child, but also in your education.
Exactly. And, you know, for a lot of us, he was the dad that we never had. If you screwed up, he had no qualms telling you screwed up.
It's like, we're in military. This is where
he's going to kick your ass from one end to the other.
Yeah. I don't know if most people understand or realize what we're talking about. We're talking about ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, that they call it Junior ROTC.
AFJ, Air Force Junior ROTC.
Because it was an Air Force program. Air Force, the way I understood it, like, the Air Force funded it a little bit, but then like the stuff that we needed, but then the school paid for the teachers to run it.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really good program, and they're less common nowadays because military and guns and.
Yeah. Let's not get into that one.
He just killed it. Like,
let's not get into that one because we will go off on a tangent. And
yeah, well, I had Tabor, Lieutenant Colonel Tabor.
Lynn Tabor, yeah.
For 1 year, and then Eskew was like, "This is amazing. You have these two rock hard guys."
Oh yeah.
And Kurz came in, took over for Tabor my sophomore year, and he was the new Air Force. It's like we lost the old school hardcore, and it started getting softer. And I think that was really what was really hard for Eskew.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was a hardcore, old school military Air Force guy, and then you got the new young Air Force coming in. Tabor was good, but he was pushed education way more.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's good or bad, but have that balance, because it's about discipline first and foremost. And Kurz pushed discipline educationally. I'm looking for that word.
Yeah, it's all right.
And then Eskew was the behavior, the respect, the morals, values that gave us a base.
I remember when they fired him. He knew he was getting fired.
So they actually fired Eskew?
They did.
So this is after my time. See, I'm already in the military.
Right.
I'm like gone.
And he just got to the point where he didn't care. So he was teaching everybody how to properly salute. It was, see this finger? I mean, go like this.
That's the way it's done.
And the students are like, and the rest of us are like, but we didn't expect anything else because we knew how upset he was. Yeah. And then when, I've only heard rumors, but when they shut the program down, they didn't give anybody an opportunity to go in and get the photo albums, the trophies. They just threw everything into a giant dumpster. I mean, it's like, wow, you've had this program for years. You've got football trophies, baseball trophies. Save a couple of them. I don't seem like they didn't care anymore.
It's history, right? It's school history, if anything.
Yeah.
We won a lot of competitions. We did a lot of great things. And just to throw it all away. I remember, I don't know how I got a hold of it. I don't know if it was through Colonel Tabor or somebody afterwards, when the program was gone. I got one of the practice rifles that we used for drill team and stuff. I know it's laying around here someplace.
I don't think either one of us could still do that to this day.
Oh, I'm sure I could.
With or without injury.
Oh yeah, you're always gonna have an injury no matter what. You start really, I can flip this thing and twirl it a million times. Next thing
kick it, toss it up, catch it.
I'm surprised more of us didn't get hurt, or we didn't have like huge gashes, or because we're talking about like these 20-pound, 15-20-pound rifles at better, and you're twirling them around your hand. That thing's whipping around, and then we're throwing them at each other.
Oh yeah.
And how far can we throw them at each other?
Yeah, and then you're hearing
decommissioned rifles.
Your foot back, toss it in the air, and boom. Yeah, no.
So, and that's one thing Tabor was big on. At least he pushed the drill and ceremony a lot more. But then that's when we had to go to the practice rifles, because now we're going to competitions throwing rifles and stuff. If you've seen any of that, it's pretty intense. And good times.
Oh yeah, no, I did drill team for one semester and said, screw it, I'm gonna stick with color guard.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, because
to me
it was fun, but at the same time it was like too much pressure. At least at that point, I felt it was too much pressure. I'm like, okay, I really don't want to fuck this shit up.
Can you imagine high school without ROTC? What would we have done?
No.
I mean, we would have dropped out or got in trouble a lot more.
Oh dear God, yes, no.
It's the only thing that kept us straight.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I remember going in there as a senior just because I needed to take a class So I took freshman ROTC classes. And Jim Askew's just like, what in the world are you doing here?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot easier. I take your shit and go in the other room. And I'm like, all right, bye. But first it was, okay, you're going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Fine. But I will say ROTC Hill was a lot better than Ag Hill. I climbed Ag Hill once. I managed to avoid that like the plague for 4 years.
I don't think I went up there. Never once the whole 4 years.
Oh, yeah,
I went to school, did ROTC, went to my classes, went to ROTC in between everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we got to hang out. It's where we felt safe. It was like a group. It was a clique. I'm sure the same thing with the ag kids. That's where they feel. That's their clique. That's their thing. That's what drives them.
And then on shop class, all mechanics hung out in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the jocks and all the popular kids on Senior Hill.
Or down in the gym.
Yeah.
So, did you specifically know, like, at an early age you were going to go into ROTC from 8th grade? Or was that just, you got to Summerville and you're like, oh, ROTC?
Well, my older sister was in ROTC. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. No, screw this shit. And then I was like, why not?
She was 8 years ahead, so she was in the old school.
Oh, yeah.
ROTC
She
in the
graduated
90s.
in 97.
Those are the good days. It always seems like back then it was like, the kids were bigger too.
Yeah, every year they get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah, that was strange how, like, they practically look like adults.
Yeah.
And then when we got to us, we're just a bunch of little kids, like, still in diapers. There was nothing adult about our generation, it seemed like.
Not by any means. But, with ROTC at least, I just swore I wasn't going to do it. But at the same time...
Swore you weren't going to do it?
I wasn't. And then I'm like, okay, I'll try it. But Jim Askew also confronted me when we were filling everything out in the gym for classes. It's like, so, you're coming into class, right? No. See, you're coming into class, right? No. I will repeat. Yes.
Good. But see, that's what made him a great teacher.
Yeah.
He cared about you. He knew your sister. He knew your background. He knew probably your parents, or your mom at least already. So, and he was good. He cared.
He did. And it's one thing that you don't find in educators much. But, he also knew that, it wasn't a guarantee I was going into the military. He knew that when I was younger, I wanted to be one of 3 things: law enforcement, firefighter, or military. And so he knew that, it may not be the military, but ROTC opened up doors for so many of us in all different avenues. Whether it was law enforcement, firefighting, looks great on college applications, or you go in the military. And you don't just go in, it's, private, depending on how long. I went in as PFC.
Mm-hmm. Same here. And I think there's also a differentiation on like character of kids. There were, at least in my senior class, 4 or 5 guys that were college bound. And Kurz loved that. I was probably the only one that didn't take advantage of ROTC scholarships to go to college. I was like, I'm going to enlisting. That's my goal here. I'm enlisting.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of my classmates went to some odd college or whatever and got ROTC scholarship, which helped. But what I even brought that subject up for was, it's kind of like, I knew I wasn't going to college, and you probably felt the same way. I don't know. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
No, I knew I wasn't. I never felt I was smart enough to go to college at that point.
Yeah. But we never, even with Kurz, it's not like he brought me in and said, like, hey, this is how you get free money to go to school.
Yeah.
And even the grade level coordinators, there was certain kids in the school that they knew were college bound, or the teachers or the parents made it apparent.
Oh, yeah.
So they focused on certain kids in certain different ways. And for us, it was like, these kids are fucked up. They need to go to ROTC. keep them in line.
Oh, yeah. Well, my guidance counselor, he was just like, so, you're going in the Army. Here's what you need to do on the bleachers. Here's what you need to do on the field. Gave me so many reps of push-ups, sit-ups, or running up and down the bleachers. So he was invested in me going in the military, and that helped out a lot.
Yeah.
Because my mom really did not want me to.
Probably good reasons. Parents usually don't. I mean, especially moms.
Yeah.
That's one thing, the physicalness. We did have some sports and games that we did in ROTC, but we didn't really hammer. But that's Air Force though mentality. They don't hammer physical agility as much. I mean, I don't say anybody, but they make it so anybody that wants to join the Air Force, it don't matter you're big, small, long, fat, you're gonna pass the physical agility.
Oh yeah.
Army is a little harder, and I remember my senior year. It was like I specifically joined football my last year only because mainly for the physicalness. It was gonna make me go to practice every day after school and at least get ready for some type of major physical activity after high school.
Oh, yeah.
And Let's see, was there good or bad? I mean, I had a good time in football, but mainly all my good times were during practice. I think I did one game, on the field.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Not in all reality.
And baseball, when you're in ROTC, it's like you couldn't really. It's either ROTC all the way to get the most out of it,
Yeah.
or do a sport. And I saw a lot of guys in ROTC, a lot of kids that would try to do both, and it was like that was a lot.
It was.
Because after school there was a lot of activities we had to do. We had to go to the games to prep the games and do the parade and the color guard. So there was no time to go.
Then community service, going out to
Community
veterans
service,
funerals up at
huge.
Mountain Shadow. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's not two, it's one or the other. And that's where I struggled because of band.
Yeah.
So at football games, I'd be down presenting the flag, and then I'd be running straight up to the bleachers still in my uniform. And it's just like, okay, all right, just breathe.
Community service hours. I remember I think I put over 400 on the books, maybe 450. You remember how many community service hours you did?
Honest to God, I don't.
That was a badge of honor, right? How many hours can you get? Who's got the most?
Oh yeah, it was okay. Well, I did this. Well, I did this, and then you're always competing with somebody. And that it was always very interesting. I remember, only one I remember is I got over 100 hours of community service done at Sonora Regional, so I earned some presidential award. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I never want to be recognized for my community service except for my fellow classmates.
That was the fun thing about community service. It was not. We were doing different things. I remember one of the funnest things I did for community service was go play floor hockey with the Special
Olympics.
Special
Yes.
Olympics. I love that. I think, and most of us did.
Oh,
it was like all those ROTC guys or kids. We go down.
That was the best.
To Special Olympics and then play against these special needs kids, and they're pretty good. They're good.
They are.
And they're rough, and they're gonna run you over.
We're trying to be as gentle as possible, and
Yeah.
they're coming and body slamming our asses to the ground.
Yeah.
It's like, but I remember Lieutenant Colonel Kurz, we were coming back to the high school, and the speed bumps every year get bigger and bigger. And he looks at me and he's like, hold on. Drives slowly over the front tires, and then he just guns it. And all the kids in the back slam their head.
At least he's gone.
Yes.
He's not in school no more.
No, it's kind of like, my senior project was doing an agility course on the football field for Army recruits.
Wow, that's scraping the bottom. I'm just saying. Come on.
It is, and somehow there ended up being tire marks and donuts on the football field.
Was that a new field then?
They just put it in.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, no, I have no idea.
Who was driving the van?
It wasn't a van. I will just say it was a recruiter and an active duty soldier whose parent may have worked at high school.
Talk about people in life that you don't like. I mean, obviously, like lawyers, one of the top, but car salesmen, but aren't recruiters is like my top 3 hatred for people on the earth.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew a lot of guys in the military that went that route, but come on.
Yeah. I mean, that's you must have really fucked up in your career. That's the way I looked at it.
To be a recruiter?
Yes.
Oh man. Or is it just like they were a good soldier and then because it's usually a staff sergeant that goes into recruiting and then they're just like a staff sergeant. Finally, I get to mess around and do bad things.
Yes. Let's torture children.
Torture children. Call parents and bug them and lie to them like you're gonna be awesome. You gotta do this.
Oh, yeah. Or having us call our classmates. Do you want to join the military? Now they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel because, so Sonora number. I'm like, okay, I'll answer it. Can I please speak to Marie Geyer? Who is this? Oh, this is Staff Sergeant so-and-so from the Army Recording.
What?
They got a list of kids, and I'm like, you realize Twain-Harte School is not a high school. It is an elementary school. Really? I'm like, yes. And then it was, well, do you want to join the military? And I'm like, please tell me more.
Tell me more. Here you go. Here's a recruiter. He has to live up here, right? Yeah. Is he not on Facebook? Is he not in the paper to know? I mean, we're probably one of the top 4 or 5 active veterans in the community doing things. To not know us and you're a recruiter.
No. And I was just like, so can I go in with this reentry code? And he's like, oh, have a nice day. Thank you very much. Never felt so protected by my DD-214 ever.
Yeah.
But there was always good and bad,
Yeah. I think what as a sergeant in the military, and I was a platoon leader, you get these guys new to the military, or whatever, they just got out of school and basic training, and they're immediately already pissed off because they didn't get the job they wanted. They were lied to. So now you got this soldier that doesn't want to do shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't help the system
no.
at all. So to that, recruiters need. I mean, you could talk about it all day. Put the people where they want to be.
Oh yeah.
If they're happy with what they got, they're going to be more productive. Trying to put them into something that they don't want to do and then try to make them productive is a nightmare for leadership.
True. And I think they go about it, oh well, you'll get this amount of bonus if you go this route.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
money does not bring happiness.
No,
it
it doesn't. But when you're 17, 18 years old and they're like, oh, there's a $50,000 signing bonus for this job. Okay. Now, as 17 and 18-year-olds, it's like, well, yeah, let's do it. And then you grow up to be miserable and hate everything.
Yeah. I was mechanic all the way. I was like, I'm good. That's in my family. I know it's something I can do. It's a trade. I can at least, if I had to get a job afterwards, I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah. I didn't think ahead. Being nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons specialist. Try and get a job in the real world without having a college degree, you're screwed.
Seaburn, right? Did you go by Seaburn?
No,
back then?
NBC.
Yeah, but they added that Seaburn, like chemical, biological, radiation. I remember.
No, that was after me.
Oh, that was after.
We were just NBC.
Yeah.
And then it was chemical, nuclear, radiological, and
which is kind of interesting. That was one of my last units. I was maintenance still, but I had some experience in that.
Oh yeah.
In the active duty.
Yes.
Because I was involved in the reserve Seaburns and on the west coast, but that was all reserve. Yeah. So okay. You go through high school, and when did you sign up? When did you?
I was 17.
So you're still in senior year?
I was, yeah. I was like, okay, and then I looked at all the jobs, and my recruiter was probably one of the biggest assholes, but he was an asshole that didn't lie to me.
Do you remember what his name was?
Seth Thomas.
Seth Thomas.
Yeah, Staff Sergeant Thomas.
Is he still around?
Yeah.
Is he
not
still,
here. Not here.
You still keep in touch with that guy?
I do, yes. And surprisingly,
surprisingly
enough, knowing his background and knowing him, I'm really surprised that he's now teaching high school students.
Oh, wow. I kind of remember my recruiter, and if I look it up long enough, I get his name. But he was a reserve recruiter, too, so that doesn't speak too much. So you went to basic training right after high school? Graduated and you shipped off, right?
Yeah, it was less than a month.
Was it the end of June?
No, yeah.
So I remember I was in processing for 2 weeks, the end of June. Like, on my birthday I was in processing. Oh, yeah. The first 2 weeks before basic training.
I had to go to the worst place in the world, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Yeah.
And
lucky you.
Dear God. It's like on the plane, I'm thinking in my head, what the hell am I doing?
First time on a plane?
No, it wasn't the first time on a plane.
It was my first time, yeah.
Oh, no, we had flown to Texas in 94. And I'm like,
so you're
Texas.
somewhat familiar with it.
Yeah, and then I get off the plane and I'm like, it is midnight. Why am I soaking wet? People are like, oh, that's humidity. The hell is that?
Yeah, I was Leonard Wood
No.
For humidity. That's like the middle of hell.
It is. And it's not even the middle. It is hell.
Yeah.
You've got sugars, you've got locusts, you have ticks, you have everything known to man.
Middle of summer.
Were
you getting did you have rainstorms every once in a while or no?
Not
or was
that
it dry the whole time?
It was dry the entire time.
See,
it was horrible.
I went to Fort Jackson, and it was totally humid. Fort Jackson, South Carolina, but it had these cycles even throughout the summer. It was raining once a week. It would rain, flood. Sun would come out, humid for a week, and then rain, flood again.
Yeah.
They put the military bases in all the flood plains, I believe.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. No. The only thing we really had were tornadoes, and that's
you had a few tornadoes.
Yes.
During basic and training.
That was interesting coming from California.
So what did you have fallout shelters everywhere on base?
No, dear God. There was a minor incident, so when everybody else was, off base and taking, passes and all that, is stuck at the unit. A minor incident.
Did you do advanced individual training there too?
Unfortunately, because I was OSIT. But we were in metal trailers. And there were a few other people there, and, we're like, why is the sky green? And it sounded like a train was coming, and one of our DIs comes running out. And he goes, run like hell to the jail hall. Because we were one of the only units on post that was not in brick buildings that were reinforced. That was fun. And then we come back and it's like, where's our shit? On CTMC's over here, it's scattered. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, technically my extra duty ended. Do I have to help? Just shut up and get on the phone. All right, cool.
Get on the phone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we were having the weekend passes and AIT and everything, fuck. All the wonderful payphones that our kids are like, what the hell's this? That's what us grown-ups used.
How was basic training? I mean, did you have co-ed?
Oh, it was, yes. That was interesting.
Did they separate you for the first 2 weeks? Like, when you get there to do in-processing, it's like the first 2 weeks are, I forget what they call them, like down weeks or dead weeks. They don't even count to shit.
Yeah, no, they don't. No, we were completely integrated besides sleeping quarters. But we all ate together, we all did PT together, whole 9 yards. And it was fine, but then you had all the fuck-ups. And it screwed everything up for everybody else, sneaking out, trying to meet up with a man or vice versa.
I mean, we're like days away from basic training, and people are doing weird things already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it was bad.
Yeah.
I
heard of some things, and when was your basic training? What summer? 4 or 5 or 5?
5.
Summer of 2005?
No, 4, excuse me.
Summer
Thinking
2004?
that when everything got ended, and then I got stupid and married my...
Hold up. Wait, let's not go too far ahead. So you're in basic training 2004.
Yeah.
Fort Leonard Wood.
It was...
And Jason was there too?
No.
In Leonard Wood?
No. He went in the same year you did. He was at Fort Riley.
Oh, he was over at Riley?
Mm-hmm.
But...
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah. I mean, overall, what do you feel like your experience with basic training? Just basic. We're not even got the rest of the career. Let's just think about like the training aspect.
Okay. Minus everything else that happened in that time frame, it was good. There was a learning experience, the discipline, and you got to see both sides. You got to see the angry drill sergeants, but then you got to see that, hey, at times we really do give a shit about you. And so basic was really great. And then going into AIT and learning how to run smoke machines to find out, oh yeah, your life expectancy is about 3 seconds because we're giving cover to ground troops. So who are they fucking going to bomb first? Damn smoke machines.
Were you using bid units back then? Were the units on back of the Humvees? The detection
no, it was
units?
like a Jeep. It's like a really small Jeep. And then we controlled everything from the inside to make all the smoke come out for the troops and everything like that.
Oh, okay. You were running gas machines, smoke machines.
Yeah, gas smoke machines.
For like who? For like the infantry or something?
Well, this was all during AIT, but it was for anybody. It was for infantry, field artillery.
Running smoke machines?
Oh yeah, because we would go to what we were trying to do was go to higher ground and, cover it completely, smoke them all out. So that way everybody could go underneath safely.
Okay.
So we were just giving them cover.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's an aspect of it, but I mean, using equipment that is detecting nuclear, biological, or radiation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, was that obviously part of your training?
It was, and then basically, they were just Humvees, but it basically looked like an old style fire engine, when it was filled with chemicals in case there was a chemical fire, chemical attack, something like that, and just a really long hose. And you basically spray it, and it helps neutralize everything. Like if you put baking soda on a fire, it goes out. Just like you don't put water on a grease fire.
Yeah, I get that, but you're doing this all in mop gear, obviously.
Yes.
Because you're gonna die.
Or the live nerve agent chamber, and you just pray to God that whoever is helping you and checking your suit, you have not pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, that's an aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in NBC, and it was later in my career, it was like probably 08 through 012 or 2012. The main focus was these bids units where they were just like boxes on the back of Humvees that were completely sealed off. I mean, once you're in there, you don't have to be in the suit because it's actually cleaning and purifying the air. And then you have these the computers that are like called sniffers, and they're just sniffing what's outside. And if we ever got called up, it was like the government suspected that there was something nasty going on, so we'd stage at certain locations around whatever event it was and start these machines up to tell us what's out there.
Okay, and see, that's all past my time from after I got out. And so we had, handheld devices and your full mop gear and gas mask, whole 9 yards, and you just basically,
You remember
it's
the
like a
unit number?
Geiger counter.
Remember the unit numbers?
For the smoke machines.
Or just when you're doing NBC? I mean,
Oh, Echo 82nd Chemical,
Oh,
third
82nd.
Chem Battalion.
okay. Yeah, I don't sound familiar. I guess the reserves are a little slightly different. I mean, reserves all fall under active duty, but
Oh yeah.
I knew there were some active duty nuclear biological units mainly on the East Coast. So,
Well, that's it's basically where you'd see most of the domestic threats.
we're just military's heavy on the East Coast,
I mean,
and that's just because of history.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like the West Coast is pretty barren as far as military bases and
I
support.
think primarily it's just mainly the Marines out here. Besides NTC,
Yeah.
I think that'd be the next biggest one.
So 2004, you're going through basic training. I was actually on my way to Iraq that summer. And then you did 4 years?
No, I had an injury. I didn't deploy, and so I got out in 2006.
So about 2 years in.
Yeah.
And at the same time, rest his soul, Jason, you hooked up with Jason.
Yeah.
Were you on Riley together? How does that even work? You're on two separate bases. Were you on the same base most of the time?
No. I called him up, and I'm like, I'm getting out.
Oh.
Don't really necessarily want to go back to California. And he said, oh, well, why don't you come out here? So I exchanged my plane ticket for a bus ticket and went out to Fort Riley. Then, everything just moved so fast, but we'd known each other since, like you and I, kids. And then I got there on March 3rd, 4th. We got married on April Fool's Day. So, a little bit less than a month later. Don't judge me, damn it.
Hey, we're young. We're just trying to make it in the world.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of things that happened. I really didn't want to come back here. And it wasn't anything that happened here. It's just mentally, I didn't really want to be around people that I knew at that point. I had too many questions that I didn't want to answer.
Well, you kind of go in the military and you expect to do great, wonderful things for a long period of time, and then it gets cut short, way shorter for you than it was for me.
Oh, yeah.
And you kind of sit back, especially going into a field like that. Like, what are you going to do on the outside?
Oh, yeah. I never thought about it. But I also never planned on getting out early.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a career.
Especially when you go on those specialized jobs. Like, you don't do NBC outside the military.
Well, no.
Unless you're going to go spray for Orkin, I guess.
I work for, places like Lawrence Livermore Lab, they have green glowing lights all over it. Fucking shit. It's all the uranium they're hiding. But, and so I went from being active duty soldier to Army wife.
How long did that last?
3 years. And I swear to God, I could not get along with most of the wives, except for the ones that were out of the military, veterans in their own right. Because it was just, I saw so many people that felt that they were entitled to everything. Or, don't you know who my husband is? For instance, I can remember Jason's unit was deploying because he was field artillery, 1-5 FA. And
Oh, yeah, when was he deployed?
let's see, he deployed from October of 06 to October of 07. And
Was that his first deployment?
no, that was his second. His first deployment, I want to say it was a 1 to 02, because he got, if I remember correctly, got pretty much deployed immediately. If not, it was 02 to 03.
Yeah. So he was in Iraq before I was.
Yeah.
I never really followed with his. I don't remember all the things he told me where he was and stuff. Because I just did that one deployment in 04, 05.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. I mean, you're in the middle of Iraq, and all of a sudden some convoy comes in, and you're like, "Hey, I recognize you." Like, small world, right?
Oh, yeah.
How we all end up in Iraq? Like,
It's like, going out for a celebratory dinner when they come home, and we're all sitting there, and you look over at your waitress, and she was a year younger than you at Summerville, and you're like,
wow.
holy crap. Well, her husband was stationed at Fort Riley, too. But no, I remember this one incident. We had made T-shirts, and it was for a fundraiser for the FRG. And
Good old FRG.
oh yeah, no,
Family readiness group, if you don't know military slang.
you know, kind of like you and other people. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, she'll do it. Yeah, Jason goes, oh no, she'll be the platoon leader for the FRG for here. And fuck. So myself and a staff sergeant's wife, we're putting all these orders together, and the first sergeant's wife is bitching at us. And she's like, I want to do it. You're messing it up. Well, you know, we had already shipped out about 100 different orders because all of our family members had bought stuff. We were sending them overseas, whole 9 yards. I remember I'd been bitching to Jason about it. And Sarah had been complaining to her husband. And next thing I know, I'm getting a call from their commander. And he said, well, it's basically, you know, I want to thank you very much for everything you've done. Now, I want you to call Sarah, which was the other woman who was helping me. I want you to put everything into the boxes, and I want you to drop them off at so-and-so's door. And this is around 11:30 at night. And I'm like, okay. So we shoved them all in the back of the Jeep, drove over there, we dumped them on her porch, pounded on the door and blocked her in.
And this is just stuff like care package information and stuff like that. Just
no, it was just T-shirts, sweatshirts. It
for
was
like the family members.
Yeah, but we were separating them and then shipping them out. So we took
because the family's scattered everywhere.
Oh yeah,
because they're on deployments. Families are living wherever they're living.
Oh yeah,
and you're trying to keep them connected.
Yeah, you know, one of our favorite things to do just to piss them off. But you know, we found out later that they absolutely loved them. Was all of us, especially who were veterans, would send boxes of tampons in their care packages.
Good stuff. It can be used for multiple purposes.
It can, especially to get shot. It's a great way to plug it up and stop the blood. Jesus. But no, I mean, and then I just got too pissed off. And there was too much bullshit, too much politics, too much hatred. So I just up and said, screw it.
Anyways, that's a bunch of bull crap.
Yeah.
When we think about, you know, we were in high school together and you have like a certain personality. I mean, now you're getting together with Jason and he'd already been on a deployment. Wasn't there any red flags going like, you're a little different? Not saying I'm prying or saying that there was a difference, but
I
it messes
didn't
you up.
see a difference at that point. I really saw and felt a big difference when he came back from his second deployment.
I know the first couple of years was a lot different in Iraq than by the time it got to 0405 is when there was a big mindset transition on the battlefield. And then he's over there, you said 6-7?
Yeah.
Was there any... Did he ever talk about the differences or what had happened?
He wouldn't talk about anything at all.
And he was doing transport, right? He was
No, field artillery.
Okay, field artillery both times?
Yeah.
Well, the second time, like, he was either overworked or underworked.
I think he was overworked because I remember him, you know, there was issues. Just because he's gone now, you know.
Issues you think within the within the army and the leadership, or just the missions that were being ran?
No, with him and his own mindset.
Yeah.
Because he got promoted, and then, you know, it's the one thing you don't want to do in a guard tower twice. Not even once.
Fall asleep?
Yeah. He did 3 times.
He fell asleep 3 times on guard duty?
Yeah. After he'd been promoted to sergeant.
Oh. And there's a mindset that goes along with that when you get into a sergeant. You think you can get away with things
Yeah.
in the military because you're a sergeant now. And I could imagine he always had a problem with leadership or responsibility.
Yes.
So that probably wasn't playing good in his character as well.
No, I don't think so. Because...
Bless his heart, but...
Oh, yeah, bless his heart, but...
You get... Some people just aren't good at being in charge of stuff. Some people are just good at taking orders.
Well, he wasn't really good at either one.